Welcome to Music and Medicine. I'm your host, Dr. Moshe Lewis. I'm more than ecstatic to be joined by Jon Jon Harreld today, known from the group TROOP. You know so many of their hits. Spread Your Wings and Fly. Oh my gosh, I love their music so much. And All I Do Is Think of You. And he's had a ton of music and done a ton of work even outside of that, and continues to perform and does tours and things like that. So I really appreciate the opportunity to sit down with you and just talk about the journey and talk about the things you're continuing to do. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Sure, absolutely. I want to kind of roll back that clock and talk about when you initially started, because you started so young. I've heard 3-4 years old. What instruments you gravitated to and how music was all around you.
I gravitated to like really the bongos and then drums,
right.
And then after drums and percussion. So, but playing percussions was kind of like an accident. I happened to go to a church service that was having a concert,
right.
And they didn't have anyone to play the percussion. So the director was like, "You play drums,
right.
So I need you to play percussion." I said, "How is this?"
Right, how am I going to do that?
Just the time, whenever the drummer hits the cymbals, that's when you hit the cymbals.
Right.
You do the rest of the drum rolls.
Right.
And I said, "Okay, I'll check it out."
Sure.
So it ended up being pretty cool for me.
Right.
Nice.
And your family was singing a lot when you were young and things like that. But if I'm not mistaken, you kind of were trying to keep that on the DL and kind of really kind of practice your balling skills.
Singing was not what I really wanted to do at all.
Right.
Because, like I said, who wants to be made to do something? Your parents is trying to make you to become something, and that's really not what you want to do.
Right.
That's what they want you to do. So I was not trying to sing at all. That wasn't my thing. So my skills, I ran from singing.
Right.
I was playing on 3-4 different basketball teams at the same time.
Oh my gosh.
Trying to run from singing. So,
right.
Yeah.
Sure. How did your friendship sort of wind up kind of pulling you into actually doing it, even though, like I said, you were trying to not really do any of that?
It was this guy that I gravitated a lot to. He was a dancer, but I didn't know that he could sing. And I'm talking about my guy, Stephen Russell.
Right.
He was a Michael Jackson impersonator, and he was like really awesome at it. He was really good.
Sure.
But singing, I didn't know that he had that gift. And so he happened to be, I think at that time, he was about maybe 12. I was around maybe 13.
Okay.
He was singing over the phone to this girl, and he was singing the song "Lady of My Life" by Michael Jackson.
Right.
And I was like, wow, man, I didn't know you could do that.
Right.
He was like, what do you mean? I said, man, you really sing? He said, man, I can sing. I said, yes, you can sing.
Yes.
I said, man, I don't sing. I said, I keep it quiet, but I sing myself.
Right.
He said, you do? I said, yeah, man, I sing with my brother, my two sisters, and my mom. We sing at church all the time. He said, you sing with your family? Because he's an only child.
Sure.
So he was like, man, you sing with your family like that all the time? I said, every Sunday we're at somebody's church singing all the time.
Singing something.
And so I sang a song to him by O'Brien. The song was called Lady, I Love You. And I started singing that song. And he was like, whoa, man, you got pipes.
Right.
And so it was that night that I said a prayer to God. I said, God, I like Steve. I think he's real cool. Right now we're doing a whole bunch of dancing with these kids at the Boys and Girls Club.
Sure, right.
Can you do something with us later on in life?
Right, wow.
God heard one prayer that matched with the dream that Rodney's mother had of her son being on stage with 4 of his friends. And it kind of basically, happened that way.
Right. Talk to us about like how rare that is. That's something you don't even hear today, that somebody would, even in that case, it really wasn't even foresight, it was just a prayer and a hope, but that somebody would be willing to kind of put their faith out there at such a young age.
Well, I've been saved since I was 9, so I've always felt that prayer, it works and it changes things. So if you pray and you study thyself to show approve, that you pray to your Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, that everything is going to go ahead and come.
Right.
He brings it to pass.
Sure. Walk us through kind of being in Pasadena, where you guys were 13, 14, 15, 16 years old, kind of starting from this idea and then actually trying to put together a group, because it's a big journey.
Well, yeah, it's the journey of us being able to come together. It was really, really, really big. the mother of the group, her name is Jean, we call her Shirley.
Sure.
She had a dream of her son being on stage with
Right.
4 other guys. She couldn't see the other 4 guys.
Right.
But other than that, she just saw her son. So she woke up the next morning and told him, I think you need to go ahead and put together some guys and try to see what we can do.
Right.
And they went on the television show, putting on the hits,
Right.
doing a song by New Edition. They did Cool It Now.
Right.
And they won first place.
Sure.
And there was a producer by the name of Greg Parade that called the show to get in contact with the mother.
Right.
He got in contact with her, and at the time, the guys that they had at that time,
Right.
they didn't want to be, they weren't singers.
Okay.
But we all knew each other because we
Sure.
all went to the same school and we all went to the Boys and Girls Club together.
Right.
So they at that time they had added Steve. I came with Steve, and there was another guy named Shane Pittman. So it was myself, Rodney, Reggie, Shane, and Steve. We tried out for Greg Parade.
Okay.
Greg Parade was a producer. He did some things with the Jacksons.
Right.
He played on Time Waits for No One with Tito.
Tito, right.
And he actually toured on the Victory Tour with the guys.
Right.
And so he got us to do another song with Michael Henderson.
Right.
The song was called I'm Gonna Make It Right For You.
Right.
And Greg had did a song on us called Love Toy. So we did some a cappella songs, and we did a showcase for A&M Records.
Right.
So we were still kind of wet behind the ears.
Sure.
We didn't get that situation taken care of.
Right.
Greg has a situation with his family, so he turns us over to David Cook and Steve Cohen.
Right.
And Shane at that time gets impatient, so he stops coming around.
Right.
And that's how Steve had gotten Alan into the group. And we tried out for David Cook and Steve Cohen.
Right.
They got us to deal with Atlantic Records.
Sure. Talk to us about sort of just all the work, the demos, the years, the trying, the number of places you had to go to, because it's, again, it's not overnight. This was almost 18 by the time you signed.
Yeah, it's not overnight. We did a lot of recording songs in the studio with a great friend of ours that was introduced to us by David Cook. His name is Zach Harmon. Zach Harmon had put us in the studio out in Los Angeles, and we did a whole lot of songs with him.
Sure.
We hooked up with several other people, these other 2 guys called Rand and Jan. When Alan was bringing songs when Alan joined the group, he was bringing songs. So he was actually singing songs to us that he had wrote.
Right.
And so we got familiar with his songs, and we recorded his songs in the studio.
Sure.
And that's pretty much how it all happened. We were a lip sync New Edition group.
Right.
We were actually singing their songs, doing talent shows. Once Alan got into the group, it actually turned us into a singing group.
Right.
And we really started like really singing and doing our own songs.
Right. And it sounds like Shirley was also like driving you guys as well, kind of making sure.
She did not play.
Right.
Like after she would leave to go get us something to eat or whatever, we had to have at least the intro, a verse, and a hook of choreography to do. I mean, it just had to happen that way.
Right.
She was just, she's no nonsense, no playing around, no none of that stuff. So we really had to be serious with. She was really like our Joe Jackson.
Right. And where did the dancing come from?
The dancing came from Rodney. He's our main choreographer of the group, and we would always just get together and do choreography with songs that we had to go ahead to perform. And that was his thing. He's our man for that we go to that starts off our choreography, and then we go ahead and we turn the choreography, adding along people like with Barry Lather and Casper and Casper and the guy, our boy from Shalimar, Jeffrey Daniels.
Oh, Jeff. Okay.
They helped us with the song My Heart.
Sure.
Barry Lather had helped us to choreograph with us with Mamacita.
Sure. Yes.
That's pretty much how everything came about.
We want to learn a little bit more about the Jacksons' influence and your choice of that song.
The song I used to just play all the time, and I've been playing it since it came out, which was like 1975.
Right.
but never knew that I would be a part of a group to be able to cut that same record, and it did what it did.
Right.
And it was my idea for us to go ahead to redo the song.
Right.
I told Steve, I said, look, I know how you're going to do your part. I already
Right.
know.
Right.
I said, but if you take this song to Sylvia and you tell Sylvia wrong. Yeah.
Right.
Tell her that we need to record this record. If we do this record, it's going to be life-changing for us.
Right. Wow.
And we ended up doing it, and Alan put his spin on it to make it a little bit different of what he did vocally compared to what Steve did when Steve did the second verse, like Michael.
Right.
And
right,
so
right.
I knew at that point, like once Steve had got to the song, it was going to help to be able to take us, to a whole nother plateau.
Right.
And with what Chucky Booker, what he had did as far as musically, and what he had told me to do is, at first I wanted to do what Jermaine was doing on the song.
Right.
He said, that's cool. He said, but I want to do something a little different with you. He said,
Sure.
because your tone is, you have like one of these tones that I want to do something else with. And I said, okay. So I just said okay to what he wanted us to do, and it ended up being one of our biggest records.
Sure. And what song? Just so we hear you say it.
This is All I Do Is Think of You.
Yeah. How do those words even speak to you when you're emoting and trying to sing that at such a young age?
Well, I could take it all the way back to when I first heard the song.
Right.
I just met this woman. Her name was Kim Fields. We all know her. She played Tootie.
Right.
So I just met her.
Right.
And so once I went to the car, your parents will go ahead and let you go ahead and take the keys and start the car up.
Right, exactly right.
I turned the radio on, and this radio station, KGFJ, and it was getting ready to go ahead and play the Jackson 5 song, All I Do Is Think of You. And mind you, I just met Kim Fields.
Sure, right.
So that song had my head going
right.
like the whole entire time while I was thinking about Kim Fields.
Sure.
And the song is called All I Do Is Think of You.
Right.
So it was just an amazing moment for me at that time.
Sure. And then Spread My Wings.
Yeah.
Talk to us a little bit about, I mean, the lyrics are still, they're still on playlists to this day.
Well, we can't talk about Spread My Wings until we talk about the song Turned Away.
Okay.
Turned Away, that was by Chucky Booker. Originally, we wanted that song.
Okay.
And we were trying to get that song to be on our second album.
Right.
And Sylvia said, well, you guys can't record that record. That's going to go on Chucky's record.
Right.
But Chucky, actually, he wanted us to go ahead to do Turn Away.
Sure.
But he said, man, you have to ask Sylvia to see what's going on.
Right.
So Sylvia said, look, you guys, this is fine, but it's got to go on Chucky's records. So you guys have to get with Chucky and come up with something else.
Right.
And that's how he came up with Spread My Wings.
Sure. How did you all navigate that, since you're bringing it up? It is one of the most complicated things that groups face, especially a lot of R&B groups, working with record labels, executive producers, managers, and things like that, and really trying to find their voice, literally, as well as the music they want to do, what the label says should go forward. How did you all navigate that?
Well, we wanted a certain sound to where we were trying to get established like this Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis type sound.
Right.
And that's what Chucky gave us. We couldn't go get it because of the price.
Yeah, sorry, and where they were.
So we ended up being with Chucky, and Chucky gave us that, and he gave us that sound because he was like that. He was like a Jammer Lewis in one person.
Right.
So yeah.
Absolutely. Talk to us about sort of just the touring and interfacing with the fans, sort of how that made you feel, and just what that experience was like as you guys walked through, like, immense success almost overnight.
The touring was different. It was an experience that we've never gone through ever in life.
Right.
It was something brand new because, I mean, you hear about certain things and you see certain things, but you don't think that type of stuff can happen to yourself.
Right. Sure.
And it actually does. Once you have like hit songs out there, they go #1, and you start traveling all over the place, and then you start seeing responses from different people. The crazy thing about us when we were touring, it seemed as if like everywhere that we went, we saw somebody from the city of Pasadena out there.
No matter what.
So that they were kind of like keeping us on our P's and Q's, and letting us know where we were really from. So it was pretty cool, man. But it was an experience that that it was a lovely experience, being able to go to certain places to where people crowd around your car and they were rocking the car and you know it was Chicago. That was one of those states where they just really gave it up. Being chased in Japan and all that type of stuff, it was kind of crazy.
Right. Yeah. Let me flip that question around. How do you maintain your modesty and humility and stay grounded in the face of that?
You gotta stay prayed up. This isn't for everybody. Just because they have the talent doesn't mean this is where they need to be. You hear about certain artists where they're not here because they actually done something to themselves.
Right.
They berated themselves because they couldn't handle it.
Right.
Just because they couldn't handle it doesn't mean it was for them.
Right.
But you have to stay grounded. You have to stay prayed up. You got to stay in. I say it like this. What God's plan and purposes for your life is for you. Right. But you have to do it His way. And if you do it His way, then there's no blessing that He will withhold from you.
Right. No, words to live by, for sure. As time goes by, talk to us about sort of maintaining that friendship and continuing to be able to get together and tour, despite the fact that, obviously you guys mature and have some different things in your lives going on.
It's about the love of ourselves, the love of the fans, the love of the music, and the love to be able to get out there and give a good show to all of those people that still want to come and see you, after all these years. I mean, we're just now, we're at 35 years now, so to be able to get out there and still to perform and the people still show up, that's an amazing thing within itself.
Sure. Yeah. And you've got acting skills and done some amazing projects there. Which one has been your favorite? What have you enjoyed the most with your various appearances and cameos and things like that?
I love plays. I love plays. Doing plays is a lot of fun.
Yeah. And now, talk to us about sort of what you're up to, your music and being on the road and still doing touring and things like that. What keeps you busy and what keeps you grounded still?
What keeps me busy is I'm doing a number of things. I sing. Stevie Wonder has a radio station called 102.3 KJLH. He also has a choir. I'm in that choir for the radio station. My church is, it's, to be honest, this is actually my last interview for the year. Because my church is really serious around this time. We're getting ready to celebrate our Christmas Candlelight Experience concert. It's our 20th year anniversary. And my god brother, Jonathan DeCure, he doesn't play. They call him Pastor Bully at around this time because he wants things to be a certain way during this time, during the Christmas holiday season. So we have to go ahead and learn and study 12 to 15 songs. It's going to be an incredible concert. It's going to be held at the Pasadena Civic Center, December the 9th. So there's a lot going on for that, a lot of preparation that we're working on right now for that.
Sure, absolutely. We'll continue to promote that for sure. It's December 9th. Tell us where we can find you and more about you and things like that if people want to check you out.
You can look me up on Instagram, me at Jon Jon Harreld on Instagram. You can email me, JONJOHN of TROOP @yahoo.com.
How do you stay so approachable and so humble?
He does all of that.
I love it. Well, I love you hearing you say that. Our show is called Music and Medicine. Last question, I promise. When you hear those words, how do they speak to you? What does it mean to you?
Music is definitely medicine. It saves lives. It helps a person to have from a bad day to a good day. You can be thinking one way, you can be upset about something, and then you can hear one of your favorite songs and it just takes you away from what you were thinking about.
Absolutely. No, I totally, I couldn't agree with you more. I think that it is life's medicine is our little tagline, helping people get through everything, whether it's working out or dealing with a loss. How did you all cope on that note with the loss of essentially really become
Yeah.
almost like a family member, another brother.
Yeah, Reggie. He was, he was our fireball, our energy guy
Right.
that was on stage with us, and he performed like no other. He
Sure.
was, a true master at a performer. We missed this guy. I would, he was my click leg guy.
Sure.
That
Right.
we would do the move together and spread my wings and
Right.
click our legs together.
Right.
That, I
Click
missed
leg, I
that.
like
But we
that.
feel his presence on stage every time that we perform.
Sure, absolutely. Well, we've continued to enjoy the music. It's hard to imagine it's been 35 years. It feels like it's just a few days. I know I promised that other question would be the last, but you did spark something that I think we should touch on. The importance of preserving the legacy of R&B music. How does that speak to you?
It's all about keeping the legacy alive. And for those that don't know, Troop actually has a single out right now, a Michael Jackson tribute, Lady in My Life. So that's out right now on iTunes and Amazon. You guys can pick that up. My latest single, Jon Jon Cover Girl, I Wanna Fly Away, Fragile. There's some stuff out there that people can go ahead and pick up and check out.
Absolutely, I love it. I Want to Fly Away. Continuing to appreciate all that Michael meant to us, meant to you, the songs, the tributes and things like that, and then this upcoming concert, December 9th. You heard he will be with his church, Pasadena Civic Center on December 9th. If you're in town, check it out. Hope you can be there. And thanks so much for joining us. It has been such a pleasure today to see how God has worked in this young man's life. He's continued to walk in faith and therefore experience favor. And we've been beneficiaries of that, and we always appreciate that you're so humble, but also even willing to take the time, despite everything you have going on, to talk to us. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Appreciate it. Thanks.